Hey guys, Chris here from AMP Life, and welcome back to another vlog. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about being an amputee in the times of coronavirus. So it's a scary time for all of us, and you guys out in the States, in China, in Europe, wherever you are, South America, Africa, my continent, you know, whatever difficulty you've had with this virus, if you've experienced loss, if you've been sick and you've been scared, my thoughts are with you. I think it's going to be a very difficult time for most, and this is why I decided to make this video today. So I really want to talk about, we've been here before, guys, as amputees. Certainly I feel like I've been here before. If I had to start drawing comparisons about what it was like to lose my leg and what it's like to be in lockdown currently in South Africa, we're on lockdown for 3 weeks. We're just at the end of week 1, moving into week 2. And as a counsellor, I can see people are starting to struggle with many anxieties, fear of the unknown, what's going to happen to us, how big will this thing get, will my finances recover, how am I going to keep my household together, how am I going to keep my family together. So I think there are many of us that are really worried for valid reasons about what's going on. But my message to you as an amputee is, guys, to my fellow amputees and all of you, the whole community on the AMP Life, is we've been here before in very similar ways, and there's a way through this, there's a way out of this. And I've been thinking long and hard about this. In fact, I've tried to make this video earlier and I just wasn't happy. I felt that I want to talk from the heart, so I tossed the notes, and I really just want to speak to you guys from the heart. And I think fear comes from the unknown, and I think fear comes from being or feeling disconnected. And I think those are the two things. If we can make the unknown as known as possible and you can feel connected to one another, we're going to get through this. We're going to be okay. And I'm not suggesting that everybody will be okay. There are people that are suffering immense losses, and you know, it's truly sad that things are working out that way for so many people. Africa is potentially facing a huge crisis. So living down here in South Africa, circumstances are different here for most people, by far the greater part of the population here. And if this thing hits us hard, it's scary to contemplate what might possibly happen. Economically, we're concerned. And yeah, at this point, what I'd like to do is to look at the parallels between being an amputee and being in this lockdown, in this coronavirus situation. A couple of things come to mind. The first is, when I knew I was going to lose my leg, I elected to have an amputation. But when I knew it was going to happen, there was this fear that we, I think, in a way feel now. And I think if we can identify the similarities, we can walk through this with courage and knowledge that we have done this before, or that we are busy doing this. I'm talking in particular about being an amputee in these times and having gone through a lot of difficulties, most of us, if not all of us, in losing a limb. So insofar as the fear of the unknown is to make as much as known as possible. And I don't think we should constantly be busy with media and listening to stories about the coronavirus and numbers. I think it's important to be informed, but not to get caught up in all the emotional fear-mongering that is also out there, but really to stay with the facts. And if I think of what's happening in the States with I think his name is Anthony Fauci. He's doing a fantastic job. I think of Governor Cuomo in New York. He's doing a fantastic job, and you guys are keeping us informed. We've learned from China, we've learned from Europe, and hopefully we're not going to repeat some of the mistakes and take with us some of the good things. So my first tip is gather information. Just as when I lost my leg, I gathered as much information as possible. And for those of you that are facing an amputation or have recently lost your leg, I think knowledge is useful. I think when we don't know, is that the anxiety settle in and we potentially make hasty decisions or destructive decisions like I did. The second thing that I had to pay attention to when I lost my leg was I had to be healthy. And my first mission there was to stop using or abusing medication. So about 11 years ago, I stopped the alcohol, I stopped the medication, and to get physically healthy was really important, as it is now during times of coronavirus. I think when we're vulnerable, as we know, to this virus, you know, potentially we can run into problems. So what is it that we can do to make ourselves as healthy as possible? And there's a ton of information out there about that, so I'm not going to go into it. I just think it's the concept that we need to follow, which is get healthy. For me, the virus in losing my leg was bacterial. So I had what is known as a staph, which is a hospital bug, which I caught. At one point, I was in big trouble. I was going to lose a bigger part of my limb. And of course, with a staph, septicemia can set in. So as much as we potentially might be battling a virus at this point, at the time I was battling the bacteria. And the best thing I could do at the time, as we do now, is to take good physical care of myself and to make sure that my immune system is as good as possible. The third thing is I had to define my purpose again. Is what is my purpose? What do I want to do with what has happened to me? And the best thing I did was to get involved with you guys, to get involved with communities that struggle, that suffer, that have suffered loss. And in that I set a goal, which was to reskill and went to go and study project, to be a counselor, to be able to do the work, to share what I'd learned from what had happened to me. And I think that in these times, if we can define our purpose, what is it that I want to do in this lockdown? I think that this lockdown has a lot of struggle and sadness and potential problems attached to it. But the gift of time is immense. The only non-renewable resource that we have is time. And my question is, how am I going to repurpose this time that I have? What can I do with this time that I have to be able to reflect and go, geez, we actually made the most of that situation. Despite everything that was going on, I feel like I did the best I could. And even if that's helping others that are scared or have had loss, there's a purpose out there for us. You guys fulfill a part of my purpose. For me to sit here and to share my experience as somebody who's disabled, as an amputee, that gives my life a sense of purpose. It gives meaning to my life. All right, the next thing I think is really important is to find our sense of place or space in time. Literally, what I mean is when I lost my leg is for that period that I was stuck in hospital is to constantly have a reminder of where I am, what was, what is, and what is to be, and literally to get it out of my head and onto paper. So I set up a daily schedule, a weekly schedule, so I could see what I was going to do. And it was not to make life bland or monotonous. It was really just to be aware of what I needed to do, to be able to plan and to take away that fear of the unknown. As long as I could keep myself busy, my mind during the amputation and now was more focused on what it is that I needed to do on my purpose and my planning and using my time the best I can. I took it a step further and put up 3 calendar pages, one of the current month, one of the previous month, and one of the next month. So that would be currently March, April, and May. And on that, I very clearly put what is to happen next. When does this thing end? When is it projected to end? When are they telling us the lockdown will end? What happens after that? So I could have a sense of where I came from, where I am, and where I'm going. And that gave me a lot of peace of mind, showed me that there was a beginning, a middle, and an end to this whole thing that we're experiencing. The other thing I did during after I lost my leg is I felt that I needed a project. I had all times needed a project that would keep me busy and engaged in life. So there was always something going on. My first project was health, was to get healthy. Second project was to reskill, to learn to be a counselor and to practice that skill and to get out there and work with people. I had many projects in between. I had project motorbike, which was to get to ride a bike again, which is a video I'll make at some point, to kit it out and to be able to do overland riding and to get out there and enjoy the open road again on my motorbike. There was project Jeep, which was kitting out my Jeep for overlanding trips, to be able to, as a family, go to Botswana and camp and go to inaccessible places. And that was something I enjoyed immensely. These things take money, of course, that we don't always have access to, yet there's a lot that we can do ourselves and without a ton of money to be able to make it happen. There was Project Kayak, getting out and kayaking in, and these are things I'm not doing enough of anymore, but nonetheless. There was Project Surfing, so getting back in the ocean, pulling out the old surfboard, but there was always some sort of a project. So now when I look at being at home and something needs to be more localized, we can't leave the house, I need projects that I can do here. This is one, to be able to speak to you guys, Project YouTube or Project Share or Project Engage or whatever you want to call it. Also photography is to set up a little studio at home and do a bit of portraiture with a family or product photography or just try different things to pique the interest, to keep the curiosity and the interest going, I think is so important. A project I'd like to share with you guys is the next project will be a project documentary, and the idea is we're going to go into a rural area of South Africa. We're going to find somebody that has lost their leg, a child that is disadvantaged, that will never have the opportunities that many of us have, and to give this child a prosthetic leg to be able to assist them to get on with their lives again, to enable them to enjoy the quality of life that I think we all should, as much as we can, enjoy. So watch out for that. Not sure what the documentary will be called yet, but we're going to make it. It's going to be a bit more of a professional endeavor, and I'll be posting. I'll be keeping you guys informed as to when we're going to launch it. I think it's going to be quite an emotional journey. It's going to be interesting because it goes into the rural, drier areas of South Africa, and you're going to be meeting people that we'd normally not meet, and hopefully making a difference in somebody's life that normally would never have had that sort of an opportunity. And then finally, I think two more things. The first is knowledge. Is we have access to such a database of knowledge out there. There are tutorials everywhere. There is the University of YouTube, I like to call it. There's so much that we can learn. And I think to find that curiosity again and to connect with a hunger or a need for learning is really useful to help us fill our time, and to be able to emerge at the end of all of this and to say, you know what, I think I made the most of my time during this coronavirus. Certainly, as an amputee, engaging with knowledge and learning again played a huge part in getting back to a good place, to a good place again. And then social media plays a role here. This is social media, and engaging with you guys makes me happy. I love hearing the feedback and the comments, and I would love to hear back from you guys. Hit that subscribe button. Please come back. Look out for that documentary, and engage social media in all the healthy ways. I do think it's good to have a tech-free day or to create some time where we set aside all these things, but it certainly has a place. And since we are at home and we have the means, what an amazing platform for learning if we use it well. And then finally, guys, I think potentially one of the three most important projects I had was to get my prosthetic sorted out, and that only really came together after many years. Came together about 2 years ago when I finally got myself onto a leg that could match my needs for quality of life. So I'm in the Rio XC, and I got the Proprio foot, and it's changed my life. It was a game changer. It got me out to hiking again, something that I'd missed immensely. It just increased my mobility, my quality of life immensely. People that I've spoken to with these prosthetics, we share similar stories. You guys have seen me hiking and doing things with this leg that I'd never been able to do before. For instance, I went to Moab. A dream of mine is to go out to Moab and to go and experience the beautiful Utah area, and to be able to rent a Jeep and get way the hell out into the Canyonlands with a camera, do a bit of filming, do some photography, was a dream come true, absolutely a dream come true. And it could not have happened if it wasn't for upgrading my prosthetics. So research the prosthetics, look at what's out there, go and watch some of my videos on what is possible. I talk a lot about where I came from and where I find myself now. And a lot of that had to do with stuff that I spoke about today, but certainly a big part of it is having the right gear, the socket, the knee, the foot, or whatever it is that you would need in your instance. Right, guys, I think that's my story for today. So I really wanted to say, right, it's coronavirus, but in a way we have been here before. I do believe we'll get through this. We'll be okay. And let's use the lessons we had learned as amputees and how to deal with difficulties and how to engage time, how to engage downtime, how to be in a lockdown after we lost our leg, just as we are in a lockdown now, and to make the most of this amazing opportunity that we have, despite the sadness and the losses, but to have all this time to spend with our families, with each other. I'm going to be communicating with you guys more on YouTube and posting more videos, and I really look forward to doing some more of that. Guys, that's my story for today. I hope to see you in the comments. Please share what you've been doing to keep yourself busy with the community. We're all in this together. That's it for now. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Ciao.